Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Upon hearing Primal Chaos City Leader's voice, Luo Feng, Penggong Master, Darkness Master, and the others all knew that something was terribly wrong. All their expressions changed drastically. Teacher Origin just made a discovery. Primal Chaos City Leader immediately notified the numerous human universe masters within the hall. The united force consisting of the demons, the automaton race, and the bug clan is going to make use of God country transportation, all at the same time. Their gathering point should be around the surrounding region of one of the demons' territories, Blood-Tooth Star. Right now, they have all gathered and only need to make use of God country transportation and teleportation. Thereafter, very soon, they will arrive at our primal secret region. This leaves us with little time. We must gather all our universe masters immediately. Everyone must hide in Black Prison Tower. My brother, the task of protecting our universe masters, I will leave it to you. Yes. Darkness Master nodded. Numerous figures started appearing successively within the hall. They were the figures of universe masters from various races that had joined the human camp. Seeing how pressed for time they were, Darkness Master saw no need for words. With a wave, a black pyramid instantly expanded at an alarming rate and stood erected within the hall. At the same time, he shouted out his orders. Everyone must enter Black Prison Tower right away. We are going to prepare for war. All right. Into Black Prison Tower. Supreme True Treasure Black Prison Tower. This was the first time some of these universe masters from the various races had laid eyes on Black Prison Tower, especially those who had just joined the human camp. None of them were flustered because they understood that by hiding within a palace true treasure, with their opponent having no treasures of willpower with impactful forces, they would be very safe. The moment they were unable to resist further, they could immediately hide in the safety of the palace true treasure. At the very least, they would have no problem staying alive. Sue. 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 Streaks of light flew into Black Prison Tower. No matter what, all pre-war preparations were completed. They could respond to the start of a war anytime. Everyone. Primal Chaos City Leader transmitted his voice clearly and gave very detailed instructions to over 100 universe masters in Black Prison Tower. United Forces camp will attack suddenly, and my guess is, they will arrive very soon. The strength of the United Forces camp far surpasses ours. But there is no cause for worry. I have another piece of good news for you all. The Freedom Alliance has agreed to join us, the human camp. So long as we can press on for a time, we are bound to obtain victory in this war. Luo Feng, Penggong, Darkness, Primal Chaos City Leader looked towards the trio including Luo Feng. You are all clear on what you must do. Luo Feng and the others nodded with smiles. Merely fight a war to pass the time. Very simple. Primal Chaos City Leader transmitted his orders without delay. All Undying Fighters and Sector Lords are to leave via God Country Transportation right away. Leave via God Country Transportation right away. Upon receiving his orders, within an instant, all servants and patrol guards, who were originally situated within this core ground immediately reacted in an orderly manner. A group of sector lords would follow one Undying, and this would make up one small team. Then a few small teams would make their escape together. Within a minute's time, several hundred God country transportation waves appeared within the core ground of the primal secret region. Primal Chaos City Leader also nodded silently. Let's set off then, he commanded. Luo Feng and the other two nodded as well. Yes. As Darkness Master transformed into a streak of light and flew into Black Prison Tower, Luo Feng, Penggong Master, and Primal Chaos City Leader also transformed into streaks of light and flew toward the towering star tower that stood erected outside the palace. In the primal secret region, there was a void space that was filled with a thin fog. With their mighty presence, 11 massive objects occupied this void space. We have entered the humans' primal secret region. One more teleportation, and we will arrive at the humans' core ground. Let's prepare to fight a noteworthy war. Let's all prepare ourselves. Now, I shall unify our teleportation. The cold voice of Father God of Automaton Race resonated throughout the entire void space at the same time, as though his voice transmission could transcend time to reach out to any place of his choosing. Soundlessly, 11 massive palace true treasures vanished from the void space. The secluded clusters of palaces were suspended in a particular area of this void space. Behind these clusters of palaces was a gigantic vessel, the boat of Mausoleum, while in front of them, a towering 9-story tower stood erected, Star Tower. At that moment, there was not a single sound heard from these clusters of palaces. They were already devoid of living souls. In a particular spot, 11 towering palace true treasures suddenly appeared. Every single palace true treasure exuded a formidable force. How come there isn't a single human to be found? Emptiness. No living soul. Not even living souls from other races can be found. They had just arrived, and every universe supreme master heading a troop within each palace true treasure was shocked to realize that this core ground had become a ghost town. They could not locate a single living soul, and this was the exact situation that worried them the most. Right away, Black Universe Creator transmitted a report about the current situation. Star Tower and the boat of Mausoleum are there. Star Tower may be strong in defense, but it is still possible to cause it to waver. On the other hand, the boat of Mausoleum, no matter how we attack, our efforts will be futile. That human camp must be afraid and timid, so they have all hidden inside the boat of Mausoleum, where they can wait slowly for the Freedom Alliance to arrive. Everyone, they are hiding in the boat of Mausoleum, so there is no way we can touch them, Devil Ancestor of Prison Clan replied via a voice transmission. What should we do? Loathsome humans. Timid humans. They just ought to die. How could they have learned so quickly that we had set off? We acted so quickly. By right, they should have been taken by surprise. The numerous universe supreme masters were all angry and displeased. At that very moment, suddenly, from one of the side doors on the ground floor of the lofty, 9-story tower, a black pyramid that was 1 billion kilometers tall, suddenly flew out. The deep abyss at the bottom of the tower had already opened, and a group of universe masters stood in a circle by the edge of this deep abyss. Darkness Master, Longyang Master, Ice Mountain Master, and many universe masters from various races could be seen. A total of 139 universe masters were gathered in one place. The moment Black Prison Tower made its appearance, 139 universe masters launched a joint soul attack. This overwhelming soul attack swept up everything around it, and since a soul attack was intangible, there was no way the naked eye could detect it whatsoever. All at once, 139 universe masters, even those who were more skilled in close-range combats and material attacks, were all executing soul attack techniques instead. Right away, the intangible soul attack charged toward a round-capped palace true treasure that was nearest to it. Not good. Beware of the soul attack. The United Forces camp could immediately sense something amiss. However, they had charged straight into the core ground right away, which meant that they were already very close to Star Tower. Furthermore, they had thought that the great beings of the human camp were hiding in the boat of Mausoleum, so they did not exercise vigilance against Star Tower. A while later, over 100 universe masters were launching joint attacks focused on one of the 11 palace true treasures. A pinnacle palace true treasure was not a supreme true treasure, so it was incapable of warding off a soul attack. Block it. Devil Ancestor of Prison Clan roared in rage. A big group of universe masters in his surroundings were oblivious at the beginning, but as the soul attack closed in on them, naturally they started to sense it. They, too, executed soul attack techniques with their blurred godly power and threw their attacks at their opponent. However, it was a force of 139 universe masters on the other side, while they only had around 40 universe masters, with a single universe supreme master. The difference was much too vast. This was one disadvantage of dividing forces. By dividing themselves into 11 teams, indeed, the effect of Ancient God, I would be greatly reduced, but at the same time, once any one team was attacked by the humans, it would almost be impossible to put up a resistance over such a terrifying attack. So the ideal situation was for 11 troops to throw out attacks together, and to rain down attacks, until the humans were struggling to defend themselves, eventually reaching their breakdown point. This way, their opponents would not be able to attack, and of course, they were no longer threatening. But judging by the exchange of blows earlier on, the joint soul attack by the humans was intangible, so by the time the united forces detected it, it was already too close to them. There was no way the other teams could make it in time to render help or block the attack. Hong! The mighty soul attack, upon breaking apart the resistance put up by Devil Ancestor of the Prison Clan and his team, immediately fell and hit them hard. Devil Ancestor of the Prison Clan, and around 40 Universe Masters in his team were all hit by the impact of the soul attack. Humans. At that moment, yells, curses, and roars all sounded at the same time. Yet no matter how they shouted and cursed, a number of Universe Masters, upon being hit by the impact, fell with a crash and completely lost consciousness. Attack! 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 It was only then that the other 10 teams arrived mightily and charged toward the human camp. Devil Ancestor, what should we do? What's our loss like? Right away, the Universe Masters were asking persistently. Devil Ancestor transmitted his message. We are still doing fine. Only one unlucky fellow has been annihilated. Then he shouted another order, attack. The Universe Masters, under his command, who had made it through this ordeal immediately roared in rage, and started to execute their attacks in a frenzied manner. They threw their attacks at Black Tower Prison in the distance. The humans' soul attack had previously been terrifying, but it had consumed quite a bit of power, and they were quite weakened. Furthermore, Devil Ancestor of the Prison Clan had immediately put himself before his team and resisted much of the impact from the attack. The others were only hit by the remaining impact of the aftermath. Universe Masters were naturally extremely strong in soul defense, thus, only one unlucky Universe Master was unable to bear the force of the impact. As for the rest, though it was exhausting, they were all able to bear the impact and pull through to the end. 11 Palace True Treasures from the United Force camp launched an overpowering attack capable of inundating everything between heaven and earth. Then, at the same time, they swept toward Black Prison Tower. Their might was so powerful that it threw the humans into a state of shock. Black Prison Tower, which was originally flying out of the side door of Star Tower, retreated back into Star Tower instantly. It's too powerful. The attack from the United Force camp is simply too powerful. We are not able to block it at all. Darkness Master transmitted his reason for retreat right away. Previously, when the human camp exchanged blows with the united force of the three races, the humans had suppressed to such a great extent that it was on the verge of collapsing. And at that time, the difference in power of both parties was much smaller than it was now. This time around, it was 11 Universe Supreme Masters, and around 400 Universe Masters. The other party had over 100 Universe Masters. The difference in power was far too vast. Darkness Master continued with his report. That Palace True Treasure that we attacked is now unleashing an outburst of powerful attacks, and the teams in the other Palace True Treasures were all comparable to one another. Primal Chaos City Leader, from the ambush we laid just now, there should be nothing much to gain. At most, we would have killed 1 to 2 Universe Masters, or maybe none were harmed at all. Then for now, we shall wait, said Primal Chaos City Leader. Wait inside Star Tower. Wait for the Freedom Alliance to arrive. Behind another side door within Star Tower were Luo Feng, Primal Chaos City Leader, and Peng Gong Master. Amidst the quiet, starlit sky of the universe, an island was erected right in the middle of the mighty golden waves. This was none other than the core ground of the Freedom Alliance. Over 400 Universe Masters had gathered here, and were seated on numerous thrones. They had come to a consensus not long ago, and were waiting for the humans to hand over part of the information of the inheritance. Shahua Island leader was seated on the king's throne as he gently swirled the wine glass in his hand. Lowering his gaze to look at the wine glass, he was smiling as he felt pleased with how things were progressing. The great momentum at which the Freedom Alliance is progressing can be used to threaten the humans. Thereafter, I can get in touch with the humans without anyone from the Freedom Alliance knowing about it. Merely giving the information of inheritance to me as the condition in exchange for the entire Freedom Alliance to join the human camp. Oh, how easy it is to get hold of that information on cultivating to achieve the ultimate limit of a universe supreme master. With these thoughts, Shahua Island leader could not help but feel satisfied. He even started to develop feelings of self-admiration. In fact, right at the beginning, when Luo Feng had received the inheritance of the pulse of Duandong River, Shahua Island leader had already known that within the primal universe, there might be chaos. With the human race gaining strength and power, the conflicts with other races of the primal universe would intensify to such an extreme that there might even be the possibility of a brewing storm. Since then, he had started to devise his plan of action, albeit discreetly, and had tried to get himself acquainted with universe masters of various scattered races. Those scattered races had low social statuses. Therefore, they would ask for nothing more if they were able to form acquaintances with supreme masters who traveled alone. This was how he had managed to get acquainted with a large group of universe masters so quickly. The moment he caught wind of Huge Axe Creator's annihilation, Shahua Island leader had been immediately aware that this was a catalyst for an imminent war, and it had been ignited long before expected. If Huge Axe Creator was annihilated, the other races would most likely start communicating with one another to prepare in the dark. Or maybe they would not react quite so soon, so he had to quicken his pace and react right away. Everything was developing as expected. The pressure the two major camps exerted on the scattered races had created the perfect opportunity. Shahua Island Master immediately made use of his social skills and relationships with the other great beings to start a round of persuasions. Soon enough, he had gathered a sizable group of powers on his side. Relying on those he had roped in, he went on to further persuade other groups of powers. Finally, he combined everyone he had roped in and established a super alliance, the Freedom Alliance. Be an alliance master. To me, it is pointless. What I am after is to be truly invincible. To transcend reincarnation. The first thing I want to do is to attain what Teacher Origin has achieved. Then I will aim to transcend reincarnation, like East Emperor Ancestor and Purple Moon Ancestor. Shahua Island leader's chest ballooned up with his overwhelming desire. As a Supreme Master who traveled alone, he was never one to be bothered by the so-called power of alliance. He had established one, because he needed to make use of it. He had waited casually all the while, with his consciousness kept connected to the virtual universe, as he waited for the humans to reply. He might have connected to the virtual universe before, but previously, he had done so via a hidden identity. However, since the negotiations between the Freedom Alliance and the humans took place, all universe masters and supreme masters from the Freedom Alliance had permission to connect to the virtual universe. This would facilitate efficient communication between both sides. Suddenly, the leisurely and carefree expression on Shahua Island Master's face disappeared to reveal a heavy and furious mix of emotions. Right away, his eyes swept his surroundings as he shouted out in anger, "Everyone! Just a moment ago, we came to a consensus, yet now, the United Forces camp has already charged their way into the humans' primal secret region." The sudden shout of anger resonated throughout every inch of space on the entire island. Over 400 universe masters, who were still chatting merrily while waiting for the information about the inheritance a moment before, were instantly dumbstruck. How could it be? Why would the United Forces attack the humans at this point in time? We have just reached a compromise internally. How could the United Forces attack the humans so soon? Who? Exactly who could have let the cat out of the bag? Don't you all know that by doing so, we might be throwing away our chance of getting the information on that inheritance? Who leaked the news? The universe masters on the island were all in rage instantly. The most infuriated one was none other than Shahua Island leader. This could possibly foil all his fine plans. Obviously, there is someone amongst us who has leaked the news. Shahua Island leader's stern gaze swept across the numerous universe masters. This is dashing the hopes for the future of all our universe masters. This is unpardonable. Of course, I won't rule out the possibility of an accidental slip of the tongue while conversing with a disciple or friend, but right now, obsessing about trying to find the culprit is pointless. The humans are all in hiding, and the United Forces camp can do nothing to them, so the situation is not worsening. What we must do now is head to the human territory right away to join forces with the human camp. All right. True. We will set off now. Not a single universe master here can be left out. Anyone who refuses to go shall cast the most suspicion on himself. Some of the universe masters were worried that their hopes of achieving a breakthrough to become universe supreme masters had been dashed. Indeed, they were so mad that they were gritting their teeth to contain their anger. Exactly who was the one who had spilled the beans to the United Force camp? Setting off. Setting off. Soon, 6 palace true treasures made a mighty appearance up in the sky above the island. Then they made a speedy departure via their god country transportation. Although they were all from the same alliance, the internal struggles among the cliques formed within the alliance were quite serious. Some scattered races were sworn enemies of one another, so of course, they did not want to work together. As a result, the over 400 universe masters were split into 6 teams. And with around 70 universe masters in one team, the amount of power they wielded justified their arrogance. In the primal secret region within human territory, the 9-story tower stood erected amidst the void space, and in the distance, 11 palace true treasures were attacking in an unrestrained frenzy. They were causing widespread destruction by reducing everything within that void space to an uncountable flow of particles, which then rained onto Star Tower with a rumble. Peng. Long. Long. Hong. Star Tower was bombarded. It might have been a little shaken, but it definitely was not sent flying off its spot. This shocked the United Forces camp. So many of us universe masters. Together with 11 universe supreme masters, we are such a powerful combination of force, yet we are unable to cause Star Tower to budge from its spot. Could it be because the over 100 universe masters within Star Tower are all helping and doing their best to stabilize Star Tower? Star Tower is controlled by Luo Feng. This Luo Feng was the one who received the inheritance of the pulse of Duan Dong River. With him around, any mysterious occurrence is possible. The boat of Mausoleum is a treasure with willpower capable of exerting impact, and he took it away. The United Forces camp was angry, yet they were also anxious. Very soon, the attacks came to a halt because they were all aware that the attacks were a complete waste of their godly powers. The humans were successful in their surprise attack previously, because what they were attacking was a pinnacle palace true treasure. Where a pinnacle palace true treasure was concerned, it had close to negligible soul defense ability. But a supreme true treasure was different. If their opponent was hiding within Star Tower and Black Prison Tower, those were completely capable of blocking all kinds of material and soul attacks. It seems like we are going to fight a war of attrition. When the Freedom Alliance arrives, the situation is going to be even more troublesome. No matter what, we cannot give up on this war. There is no way we can watch the humans becoming stronger. At the very least, we have various groups of power joining forces this time. If we still let the humans off easily with this force of ours, we will become laughing stocks. Behind one of the side doors within Star Tower were Luo Feng, Primal Chaos City Leader, and Peng Gong Master. Bombard us away. Luo Feng laughed. Ha ha. That endless remote ocean is one of my other bodies. Even though I had transferred it into Star Tower where I can personally control it, getting it to budge an inch is a challenge to my limits. Now that the endless remote ocean is within Star Tower, how heavy is Star Tower now? I really have no idea. And they seek to bombard it away. The United Forces camp must be extremely angry, Peng Gong Master commented while shaking his head. I'm afraid up until now, they are still oblivious to the fact that every move they make, Teacher Origin is watching, and we will always be a step ahead. Yes. Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City Leader both nodded. Even within the human race itself, prior to this, Luo Feng and the rest had also been unaware that Teacher Origin was able to see almost every situation happening to them in every inch of the primal universe, not to mention the other races within the primal universe. Let's wait for the Freedom Universe to arrive, Primal Chaos City Leader said. Then things will get so much easier. If there was no Freedom Alliance, the United Force camp could have bound the humans quite effortlessly, and they could have sustained such bondage for eternity. All that was required of them was to leave behind over 200 Universe Masters, and a portion of their Supreme Masters as permanent residents. Then the humans would have been completely suppressed. The other Universe Masters could then take turns to enter Universe Ocean for adventures anytime they pleased. Seizing all the human territories, then binding the entire human camp were ways to deprive the humans of any room for development. Very soon, the other races within the human camp would break away, because those other races had to think of their own people as well. Yet this would cause the humans to get weaker and weaker, and eventually, it would be hard for them to establish a firm foothold in the primal universe. They might even have to retreat back into their original universe. Luo Feng, how could you be so daring as to? Primal Chaos City Leader took one look at Luo Feng as he sighed inwardly. That plan was much too dangerous. Of course, the humans were in no danger at all. The one in danger was Luo Feng, only Luo Feng. We cannot do that. With the Freedom Alliance joining us, we definitely have an edge over the United Forces camp. Luo Feng doesn't need to take such a risk. The United Force camps will never be able to realize their goal. It is their fate. Primal Chaos City Leader was still waiting. He was still keeping in touch with Shahua Island Leader via the virtual universe, who had, in turn, informed him that the Freedom Alliance would make their way over without delay. From within Star Tower, Luo Feng, Pengong Master, and Primal Chaos City Leader looked out far into the distance and saw 6 massive objects making a sudden appearance. They have arrived. They have arrived. Luo Feng instantly expressed his joy, while everyone else, from Primal Chaos City Leader to the numerous Universe Masters within Black Prison Tower, were all very excited. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Amidst the void space, 11 palace true treasures of the United Forces camp were dangerously near. They had been conversing in secret, because they knew that their opponents seemed aware of their plan of a sudden attack prior to their arrival, and had managed to make a clean escape before they arrived. Thus, they had been unable to achieve their goal. As a result, they were forced to carry out a most insane war of attrition. They are coming. The Freedom Alliance has arrived. They all saw the 6 massive palace true treasures appearing from afar, and those 6 palace true treasures exuded such a formidable oppressive force, that it was obvious that the Universe Masters inside were doing it on purpose. The Freedom Alliance's 6 palace true treasures arrived in a mighty manner, unleashing such an endless, oppressive force that seemed to proclaim their status as the top group of power in the primal universe through the exhibition of such might. Humans, we have arrived. We have arrived. This particular area in space might have been under the influence of those Supreme Masters, who were forcing the virtual universe to remain open. All of them had avatars within their own race's territory. Naturally, they were still able to connect to the virtual universe. This was how the 6 palace true treasures, apparently each with one representative from the 6 major factions, remained in touch with the humans. Freedom Alliance, what are you waiting for? Primal Chaos City Leader responded. Hurry over and help us humans. With both of us joining forces, we can definitely defeat our enemy, the United Forces. No hurry. Primal Chaos City Leader, don't get too anxious yet. You humans must hand the information of the inheritance over to us first. As agreed, before the war, you must give us a portion of it. After the war, you will give us the remaining part. So, you all must first hand over part of the information of the inheritance. After we have seen, verified, and confirmed it, we will help you without reservation. Otherwise, we are in no position to attack anyone. Yes. Give us our share of the information on the inheritance first. The leaders of each of the 6 major factions were of one mind. On an individual plane surface of the virtual universe, within an elegant and quiet hall. There were 4 stone chairs on one side, and 6 stone chairs on the other. The side with 4 stone chairs had Primal Chaos City Leader, Luo Feng, Darkness Master, and Peng Gong Master. While on the other side, the 6 representatives from Freedom Alliance were seated on the other 6 stone chairs. They were also the representatives from the 6 major factions. You cannot expect us, Freedom Alliance, to help you for nothing. Shahua Island Leader was the final representative from the 6 major factions to speak up. You must first give us a portion of the information of the inheritance. After we have seen and confirmed that you are not messing around with us, we will promise to join your human camp and help you deal with the United Forces camp. Dear all from Freedom Alliance, do not worry. Primal Chaos City Leader nodded. Now, I will be giving every one of you here a portion of information of the inheritance. All right. All right. From the Freedom Alliance, other than the 6 representatives who were seated inside the hall, over 400 Universe Masters waited outside. They could all hear the negotiation going on inside, and the moment they heard that they would be getting the information of the inheritance, everyone grew eager and excited. Now, let's begin. Primal Chaos City Leader laughed. Everyone, please look and study this carefully. Thereafter, through the virtual universe system, a message was sent out to over 400 Universe Masters. It contained a large amount of information. The moment these 400+ Universe Masters, who had been waiting eagerly while conversing with one another, received this message, everyone instantly quietened down to look through the information carefully. Even Shahua Island Master was so filled with curiosity that he had to take a look for himself. Although he was a Universe Supreme Master, he had achieved his breakthrough in a most aimless manner. He had no systematic experience to speak of. Luo Feng, Primal Chaos City Leader, Darkness Master, and Peng Gong Master locked eyes with one another and nodded. They were very confident. Especially Luo Feng. Because this was information on the inheritance, he had prepared meticulously. To make it much simpler, many important key points were omitted. Yet no matter what, even after the simplification, and some slight adjustments made by Luo Feng, what the Universe Masters would get to see would definitely shock them. Because this information on the inheritance was so subversive, it would make this group of Universe Masters from the Freedom Alliance yearn for the next part of the information even more. Luo Feng was not worried that they would not want to help the humans in this war. There is a lot of information, Luo Feng relayed via voice transmission. Even if we are to go through the virtual universe to try to achieve the fastest rate of information transmission possible, and even if it was the speed of acceptance of a Universe Master, it would still take quite a while. Then we just have to wait for a little while longer, Primal Chaos City Leader said with a smile. We are inside Star Tower now. There is nothing the United Forces camp can do to us. Just wait for a while. Nothing will go wrong. When the Freedom Alliance joins forces with our camp, things will be so much easier for us. Peng Gong grinned so widely that his eyes curved into smiles, too. Yes. Darkness Master also nodded. The humans were all waiting. Time passed. A lofty, 9-story tower stood erected amidst the void space. Surrounding it were 11 massive palace true treasures of the United Force camp, and the 6 palace true treasures of Freedom Alliance. A streak of light dashed across space to arrive at the same place. Suddenly, all eyes, be they of the human camp, which was earnestly waiting for the Freedom Alliance's final reply, or the United Forces camp, fell upon this streak of light. Mightily and speedily, this streak of light, which was traveling at a speed that far exceeded the speed of light, dashed into this void space and quickly came to a halt. This was a bizarre true treasure that had 8 legs and looked somewhat like the shape of an altar. This bizarre true treasure was the remarkable Ancestral God Altar. Ancestral God Altar was a treasure that the Primal Universe had bestowed upon the Ancestral God School. It might not have been a supreme true treasure and was, thus, non-aggressive, but in terms of its defensive ability alone, it was not inferior to any other supreme true treasure. Being a power that the Primal Universe was biased toward, the Ancestral God School had certainly received a wide variety of preferential treatment. Primal Chaos City Leader, we have arrived. We have arrived. Milky Way, we have arrived. We are a tad slower, but upon receiving the message you transmitted, we gathered and made our way here right away. Now, we have arrived. One after another, news was being transmitted through the virtual universe. Ha ha. Dear all from Ancestral God School, no one is late at all. The war has yet to truly begin. We are inside Star Tower now. Dear all from Ancestral God School, some of you should come into Star Tower, too. This will be better for our combined force. All right. No problem. Some universe masters of our Ancestral God School shall make their way into Star Tower now. Looking up into the void space, the Ancestral God altar could be seen flying towards Star Tower without a moment's pause. In an instant, the two closed up the distance between them. A side door of Star Tower opened, while a side door from Ancestral God altar did likewise. Soon, a black ship was seen flying out of Ancestral God altar and into Star Tower. Inside the tower, Primal Chaos City Leader, Milky Way Horde Leader, Darkness Master, Pengong Master, Long Yang Master. The handful of great beings from Ancestral God School that had joined the human camp inside Star Tower all seemed to be very passionate. So, naturally, the humans welcomed them with a passion that matched theirs. Both sides seemed amicable, however. This Ancestral God School is quite the sly one. Pengong Master was smiling, but in his heart, he was transmitting messages to Luo Feng, Primal Chaos City Leader, and a few others. They have already gained the part of the information of the inheritance that we have given out. They promised to join our side quite some time ago. Previously, we sent out the news to both the Freedom Alliance and the Ancestral God School at the same time. Over 400 Universe Masters of the Freedom Alliance have arrived, but the Ancestral God School only sent a couple dozen Universe Masters. And furthermore, they arrived much later. Obviously, they are delaying time on purpose. It's normal for them to delay time on purpose. Luo Feng replied. The Ancestral God School might be previously ranked as the top group of power, but regardless of whether or not it is newly established like the Freedom Alliance and the United Forces camp, we from the human camp are now much stronger than them. Luo Feng sneered in his transmitted message. This is why they have to be a step slower. If it were our human race we were talking about, it would have collapsed upon being attacked, with no time to put up any resistance. Of course, the Ancestral God School would rather give up and not take the risk. If we are able to block off the attacks at the beginning, they will stick to the original plan and join us. Primal Chaos City Leader transmitted his message. This is considered quite ideal. After all, they are on our side and certainly do not wish to be trampled upon, or even to be exterminated, when they are here. Getting them to transfer a portion of their Universe Masters into Star Tower. The Ancestral God School has agreed right away. This goes to show that they are still somewhat sincere about helping us. Agreed? Humph. Pengong Master was clearly displeased. You should take a look at who they have sent over. 9 Remoteness Master, Falling Silkworm Master, Sky Beacon Master. Yes, all of them are, indeed, impressive. However, all of these are merely avatars. Those who have come into Star Tower are all avatars. There were only a handful of Universe Masters from the Ancestral God School who had avatars. The majority of them only had their original bodies. Entering Star Tower, their fates are in our hands and under our control, said Primal Chaos City Leader, maintaining a cool composure. They are expressing their sincerity in allowing a group of Universe Masters to come over to Star Tower. This is already quite a considerate move. You still expect them to send over the Universe Masters without multiple bodies? Impossible. These avatars do have godly bodies with strong godly powers, after all, and they carry true treasures with them. If there is no need, there is no way the Ancestral God School would be willing to give up all these. The Freedom Alliance and the Ancestral God School arrived in succession. The Ancestral God School joined the human camp right away, while over 400 Universe Masters from the Freedom Alliance were still occupied with the information of the inheritance. Time went by. Why are they still not making any move? Are we just going to wait here like that? Don't be so anxious. An old voice was heard from amidst the other universe supreme masters. Previously, when the Freedom Alliance had just made its decision, we made a move right away. The Freedom Alliance would not have had time to receive the information of inheritance from the human race yet. This time around, they will want to see the information first before deciding whether or not they will join the human camp. I suppose they must be studying that information now. We must not be rash. The moment we bring forward our attacks, we will be provoking the Freedom Alliance. I'm afraid that making them angry will push them toward the human race. Why? Could it be that old beast god still harbors hope of the Freedom Alliance joining our side? Such slim hope. But if we make a move now, the Freedom Alliance will definitely help the humans. Then we are destined to fail in this war. On the contrary, if we postpone the attack, there may be a chance of a favorable turn of events. Let's wait and see. Although the United Forces camp was studying the situation carefully, no matter what, they came to realize that if the Freedom Alliance and the human camp really combined forces, the chances of the United Forces camp winning this war were extremely slim. The United Forces camp was waiting. The humans were also waiting. Amidst the void space, there was dead silence. The United Forces camp had 11 palace true treasures, the Freedom Alliance had 6 palace true treasures, the Ancestral God School had Ancestral God Altar, and the humans had Star Tower. The number of Universe Master gathered in this space was as many as 1,000, and the number of Universe Supreme Masters had exceeded 10. This was as good as saying that out of all the top-tier combat powers in the primal universe, 90% were now gathered in this very place. Every one of them had the power to crush and destroy a part of space and time with a flick of his finger. Every one of them could easily establish a strong and powerful race. And at that very moment, all of them were gathered in the same place. This war would surely affect the distribution of power within the primal universe for a period as long as hundreds of millions of eras. I'm done. I've finished it. I'm done looking through it, too. 6 palace true treasures of the Freedom Alliance stayed close to one another, which brought about an upsurge of godly power. They were transmitting voice messages to one another via this upsurge, not through the virtual universe. A voice, which sounded a bit cold, was transmitted. Now, all the universe masters of my Freedom Alliance have seen the information of inheritance. Everyone, tell me how you feel. This information of inheritance. How do you feel about it? It's quite all right. Not too bad. It can be considered as slightly informative. Very normal. This is the information of inheritance from the Pulse of Duandong River, on how to become a Universe Supreme Master. So brief and simple. It is too brief. Various opinions were voiced. Over 400 Universe Masters were transmitting information to one another. The strange thing was, over 400 Universe Masters were transmitting voices to one another via their godly powers and exchanging information with one another, but none was communicating or exchanging information with Shahur Island leader. Everyone, make your decision, that cold voice continued. To choose to join the human camp, or to choose to support me. Lightwalker Master, do you even need to ask? Of course, I choose to support you. I choose to support you too. Ha ha. Everyone should already know the correct choice. Lightwalker Master, the role of Alliance Master of the Freedom Alliance should be yours to claim. Of course, you also have to fulfill your promise. Lightwalker Master, if you fulfill your promise, of course, you will have all our support. We will support you. Various voices spoke up, yet all these Universe Masters were of one mind. There was no exception to their decision to support Lightwalker Master. Fine. Then we shall follow the second plan that we originally devised. Lightwalker Master transmitted his decision. We shall continue to submit requests to the humans to demand more detailed and more plentiful information on the inheritance. If they are willing to provide information that prevails over the information I provided you all with, then we can continue to join the human camp. If they provide something that is inferior to what I provided, then the human camp is not worthy of our support. This video will end here.